Hi everyone, I hope you all are able to hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hi Alex, welcome to Product Talk series by Pragmatic Leaders. We are glad to have you in the session today. And thanks a lot everyone for joining us in the session today. So before we start today's session, I would like to give a little intro about Pragmatic Leaders. At Pragmatic Leaders, you all are part of global family of aspirational professionals who proactively help each other and are invested in each other's career growth. Pragmatic Leader functions like a full stack global career accelerator that rests on three core pillars. Pillar one is educate. We help you upskill via proven courses and professional industry coaches. Pillar two is engage. We run a global community of product managers on Slack with access to online and offline meetups. Pillar three is employ. We operate a job platform and dedicated interview preparation courses to help you crack your dream job. So with that note, let's begin our session now. Alex has already joined us. We are really glad to see you here. And Alex,
Yes, thanks for having me, and I'm really happy to be joining your community and sharing a bit of knowledge from my more than 8 years as a product manager. And I just have this T-shirt just against COVID, so there's always a new opportunity out there. So
right,
let
right.
me share my screen now, and let me start the presentation. Okay. So one of the things I've learned with my career, and also based on, oh, sorry, this is gonna be crazy. Just give me 1 second. Okay, whatever. So one of the things do you see my screen? Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. And you see this thing on the side, right? I cannot take it out. I'm trying my best, but it doesn't go. Okay. Is it okay like this? Just give me 1 second. Let me move this to make it smaller. Okay. Now I can make this bigger now. Okay, let's start. So one of the things I've learned throughout my career is just to focus on the problem, and I'm going to be walking through how to do this in different stages of where your product could be, okay? So I'm going to talk a bit about me. I started working as a product manager in my career in Telefonica, and I was the first project manager leading with products like search engines, apps, and mobile advertising. After some time in Spain, I moved to the UK and I started to lead global products for Telefonica too. O2 is a brand of Telefonica. And afterwards, I changed industry and moved to First Data, where I was a EMEA product manager, managing an application called Payments on the Go. So merchants, very small merchants, could pay bills on the street. And it was very similar to Square, which is the competition at the time. Then I moved to a very small startup called Career Shifters, and there it was a very different beast because I moved from big corporations to a four people startup. Okay, I I got hands on creating products from start, and that was a very exciting time of my life. And then I moved to a global product consultancy company called Globant, and currently I'm working in Santander Universities. So I like to think about my career as like Picasso with his paintings. You know, I started with a blue phase, then I went to a green phase, and now in my red phase of my career. So you're going to see a lot of red in the presentation and in my T-shirt. So let's start. So I just wanted to start with an anecdote. So during my time at Career Shifters, I worked with a lot of coaches, professional career coaches, and this person that you're seeing he's called James Bianco, and he was one of the best coaches in Career Shifters at the time. Okay, and one of the things that James did very well is that he made a lot of questions. You know, people came to calls. All the business is online, so people came to calls just like this one, and he would start to ask questions. You know, like people would say, "I'm just frustrated with my career." So why? What makes you frustrated? What's the most important issue with your career right now? And he would start to make questions and more questions and more questions, and it was just sometimes like, come on, give an advice. You know, just why are you making so much questions? Why are you just, you know, making 17, 18 questions. But the point is that he got to the root of the problem. He got really, really deep. And then his piece of advice, his coaching, as you may say, was really, really profound. And people shift their perspectives very, very quickly, But the thing, if you just take from this conversation we're going to have today, just make more questions, You just need to don't go to the solution, make more questions, go deeper and deeper. And sometimes you just find new business models in the questions you're making, okay? So the second story I would like to talk about, sorry, is that when I was living in London, my family is from Spain, and I have a little kid. He was 2 at the time, and he was just like making so much mess, and I was just in the plane complaining so much with my wife, like, he doesn't stop, moving. He's shouting all the time. He's making me really, really mad. And after 5 or 10 minutes complaining, a guy turned around and he said, "Look, I know you're suffering with your child, but small children are small problems, and big children are big problems." Okay, and that taking into the field of product is really, really true. When you're on a startup, you think you have a ton of problems, but as your startup starts to grow, you're going to have different kind of problems. Okay, so that's what I would like to talk you through, because I've been there and I've suffered each of these phases on my own skin. I want to just go through each of the phases that you're going to go as you grow your startup, or where you are, and my personal advice to you around what your problem focus should be. Okay, so let's start with the empathy phase. The empathy phase is usually you have an idea, you say, wow, I'm going to make millions and this idea is going to be so good. But the reality when you are talking about an idea is you are thinking about actually a problem, and you want to make a solution. You want to make a fit to the problem you're trying to solve. It's like when you're young and you just create a lemonade stand, and you put 2 glasses of lemonade there, and you just put the price and you start selling lemonade in the street. It's just like, I'm going to test, I'm going to see what happens. And one of my advices is that you use the lean canvas. I don't know if you have any questions, just stop me. I talk a lot, but if you want to ask any questions, or maybe at the end, okay? So there's a big buzz about the business model canvas, but I really like when you're on the empathy phase to use the lean canvas. And the lean canvas is just focusing on the problem. What are the problems of the users? What is the solution I'm going to provide? The key metrics, and what is the unfair advantage. So if you think about the lemonade stand, the problem is that people are thirsty. The solution is I'm going to make lemonade. Key metrics would be how many glasses of lemonade I'm selling. And you have to really think about the unfair advantage there, okay? Just to give you an example of this kind of work based on the work we did on career shifters. The problem is that people are very frustrated with their careers, and the solution is to provide them coaching, But another problem people have with coaching and career coaching specifically is that you have like 2 things you could do. You could either read a book, which is very, very cheap, but it doesn't push you forward, or one-on-one coaching, which is extremely expensive, and you are actually putting thousands of pounds or dollars or euros into making the career change, and you're just not sure, okay? The unfair advantage that career shifters provided was, hey, you don't know what you want to do with your career. You're going to join other people, just like this call. You're going to pay a small amount of money, and you're going to have 3 hours of group coaching. So that's an unfair advantage. Nobody's doing that. And it's actually a very, very good idea, right? A business idea. The problem I have with these canvases and the empathy phase is like, how do I find out the customers? How do I find out the unfair advantage? How do I know I'm going on the right track, right? Because you feel this and I'm telling you the solution, but you actually don't know. You have to focus on the problem, not on the solution, okay? So one book I really, really, really recommend, it's called The Mom Test. And this book is called The Mom Test because it gives you an example of someone trying to sell, to create a recipe app and sell it to their mom, and to talk about the mom test. So there's 3 principles to the mom test. The first one is you talk about their life instead of your idea. The second one is ask about specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions in the future. And the third one is talk less and listen more. So I'm going to give you a real example about that you can find in the book. So imagine you want to create an app, a recipe app, and you want to, and your first customer is your mom. Okay, so you go to your mom, she's invited you home to eat lasagna, and the first thing you say to your mom is like, hey mom, I'm just creating this recipe app and it's going to be great and you're going to have thousands of recipes. Would you like to have that kind of app in your iPad? Because I see you have an iPad. And your mom, because she loves you and she doesn't want to hurt your feelings, she's going to say, yeah, I would love to have an app like that. Okay, and I think you would love to have like pasta recipes and Spanish recipes and UK recipes, and maybe you want to have a dessert, and your mom is going to say, yeah, I would love to, and it's going to have a search engine and it's going to be super easy to use, and you're just doing all the talking, and your mom is always saying yes, and mom, would you pay like $5 for this app? Yeah, of course I would. So if you see the 3 points, you're talking about your idea instead of asking about her life. So you don't pass the mom test. You ask about specifics in the past. No, you're asking about general opinions about what she's going to do in the future. Third, you're talking a lot. You're just doing all the talking about your idea, how great it's going to be. This happens a lot to people that have had a sales background. You're trying to sell, okay? The point is not to sell. The point is to understand the problems of your customers and go deeper, just like James did, okay? You want to go deeper. So I'm going to do the same thing, but passing the mom test. So your mom, again, invites you to lasagna to her house and you say, hey, mom, I love your lasagna. So where did you get this recipe from? Oh, I have this little book and I just write the recipes I most like. Oh, great. And what about other recipes? Where do you get them from? I have these 3 or 4 books, there on the shelf. And do you buy other things? Where do you buy other recipe books? No, actually, I don't buy other recipe books. Okay. And I saw your iPad. What do you use on your iPad? No, I use Skype to talk with my grandchildren, and I write to read the news. Okay, and something more? No, not really, not really. Okay, ma'am, I was talking with you the other week, and that wasn't feeling very well, and I know you had to change your recipes. So I know you had to make these recipes without salt, and you like doing tasty food. So where did you find those? Oh, I searched them in the internet. Oh, you searched them in the internet. Where did you search it? Where did you search those kind of recipes? Oh, I looked in this app called lowsaltrecipes.com. So if you see, now we passed the mom test. We're talking about her life and what she does. We're talking about specifics she's doing, and we're just making questions and questions and questions and going deeper, okay? And the point here is that actually, if you see, you're not going to make an app to sell to people like in the age of your mom, but maybe you're going to have an app that works for people that are looking for recipes without salt or special needs recipes, but you have to change the focus and you have to pass the mom test, okay? So just a summary of this phase, it's just you have to make a lot of questions. The bad questions are, what do you think about the idea? Would you buy this product? How much would you pay for this? And a good question is, how are you dealing with it now? Like your mom is just writing the recipe, she has her book, she doesn't want an app, okay? How did you solve this problem in the past? Well, if it's a specific recipe, I just search it in the internet and that's about it. And the very good question here is, who else should I talk to? Who else should I talk to, okay? Sorry, that was my son. And that's a very, very important question because in this phase, you're going to be doing a lot of talking, okay? And just to give you the kind of understanding of how many people you should be talking, roughly between 25 and 50 people per week. It's like the most obsessive thing you need to do is just talk to customers, understand their problems, and then once you have the problem sorted out, you can start to think about a solution. Like in Career Shifters, they said, okay, I understand the problem. People can pay a lot of money or no money, and there's no shift. okay, let's make a very small like lemonade stand. Let's make a workshop, get 10 people and see if they pay 75 pounds for this workshop, okay? So this is the empathy phase. And the problem is understanding your customers, going deeper with questions, okay? The next phase is the sticky phase, which I call the product market fit, okay? So now you have your lemonade stand and people are coming and they're putting money on the table, okay? And what you want to do now, and that this is a tool I really, really like, it's called the Lean UX Canvas, okay? So this was invented by a friend of mine called Jeff Gottfeld. And what you want to do is just focus first on the problem the customers are having and the users you want to tackle. What are the business outcomes and what are the benefits, okay? So, and how do we think we will get there, okay? So imagine you have this lemonade stand and you're just like, the users are just, children that are in the neighborhood, and what are the business outcome? Okay, I'm just selling 10 lemonades. I would like to sell 40. And you start to make an hypothesis. And then you think, what is the most important thing we need to learn now? And what's the least amount of work we need to do to get to the next point? So you're just segmenting problems and you're just thinking about the outcomes you want to have. And you're just making an hypothesis and thinking about what is the least work I need to do, okay? And two things would happen. This is another canvas from Jeff Gottfeld. So you could find a problem that is very, very big. So let's put an example of career shifters. You want to create a marketplace where you link coaches and people that want to make a career change, okay? That's a big thing. You don't know how to do it, so you just have to go to the test phase, high value, but you just have to test the idea, iterate. You cannot ship. If there's an idea that it has a high value and you know what to do, you just have to go and make it happen, okay? And you just measure it. And low value perceived ideas, you just don't have to do them, okay? But it is good because sometimes there's a discussion of, should we go to the delivery, okay, and start developing, or should we go to discovery, okay? And that's the next step I'm going to talk about. How I work and how I love to work is creating a problem backlog. That means I think about problems, think about the opportunities those problems could be. They are always focused on the OKRs of the business, okay? And I just make problem after problem. I call them initiatives, discovery initiatives, okay? And you always make the same questions. You say, what does this problem solve? How big is the problem? What evidence do we have this is a problem? And how is it aligned with the OKRs? Once the problem is really, really nailed down, you go to discovery, okay? And then you start to see how do you solve that problem. If you are in a bigger organization, usually problem is a product manager thing and solution discovery is a product designer thing, okay? And once you have the solution and you're clear about the problem, the opportunity, the solution, and which one is the best, you just go to delivery. And I purposely put discovery very, very big and delivery very small, because delivery, when it goes to the backlog and people start to develop it, it's a very high cost. So you want to be very, very, very sure that that problem is the problem, is that delivery and that the development is the one that's going to solve your problem, okay? And one really, really good practice I have, which I highly recommend, is that you sit down and you really go down deep into the problem. I use Confluence. In the past, I use Google Drive, but you want to just write down the problem. So what is the problem? What is the real problem? How did we tackle it in the past? What is the competition? How is it aligned with the OKRs? What ideas do I have to solve it? You can write everything down and you just dump everything there, and then you share it with your technical leader and your designer, okay? But that helps you like stop the machine and go deep. I don't know about you, but when you're just on agile, it's like sprint after sprint, you're going very fast, and sometimes there's no space to think about the problems deeper, and you want to think about the problems and have that space, that mind space, okay? When we go to the virality phase and going through the lemonade example, what you really want to think about is, okay, this business is growing, people are coming, they're putting money. How can I actually find a way so more people come and more people buy, okay? And one book I'm just a book fan, is the one called Traction, okay? And what it says, this book is just, has a framework called the Bullseye framework, and you just have to think about, how am I going to get customers, there's a very important VC called AZ16, and they said that 50% of the startups they look, they're just very focused on the product, but they don't have an acquisition channel. How do you get customers? And they don't invest because they don't have acquisition channel. So if you're thinking about acquisition, and traction is basically quantitative evidence of customer demand. So how many people come and how many people are asking for your product and how many more people are going to come, okay? So the framework is very simple. First, you just think of the outer circle, the outer ring, and what's possible, and you just brainstorm every single traction channel you could think of. The middle ring is what's probable. You just run cheap experiments on different channels and see which one is making people come more. Okay, and the inner one is just you think about the one that's working, and you push forward very, very fast on that one. Okay. Just to give you an example of the importance of having traction and knowing the channel that is more important to you, I want to talk about product tank. So and mind the product. So if you see this room, you see 1,600 people in a conference room. And now let's imagine COVID, okay? This business model is just blown up in the face. They cannot do anything about it. You cannot get so many people in a room anymore, okay? So something that was very profitable and was working, now it's totally disrupted, okay? So if you were the product manager of Mind the Product, what would you do? That's a big question, right? The thing that they have and the traction channel that they have is newsletters. Every week they send newsletters after newsletter. They get more traction. They have very good content. So they pivoted the business model last month, and now they're offering a membership. But if you think, they have a very big brand, but the thing that is enable them to make this shift, and I think they're going to make it happen, is that they have a traction channel where they can get to thousands of people and make this offer. Okay, so traction channels is really important. Many product managers don't think about it, and what you have to think is about getting a marketing manager or a growth hacker into your team, because if you don't have customers, there's no business. Okay. The last phase is the scale phase. Okay, and it's creating new markets. If you think about Airbnb or very big companies, you're just creating new markets from nothing. Okay, and one thing I put as a picture is just you just want to make a lemonade company. Okay, and one of the big challenges here is that you actually not now need to think about the business model, about partners, resources, activities, customer relationships. All these things are very important when you're scaling a business. Okay, and a key partner could just shift the conversation, shift the business, and make it grow 10x. Okay, and another thing that you really need to focus on is, how am I going to organize the company? If you're a VP of product or CPO, it's like, how are we going to work in this product that has many lines of work, many people working on it, and how are we going to communicate here? Okay, so I've put two examples. This is the squad from Spotify, where you have chapters and then you have squads, and you work in a cross-functional way. And another way I've studied is SAFE, where you scale the organization and each role has its own roles and responsibilities, and there's a cadence in the business. Okay, and this is really important when you're scaling. If you don't do this right, your business can go bananas, because there's a lot of miscommunication, fights. So you really want to put focus on creating a governance, if you could say so. Okay, and so the conclusions of the conversation we're having now is on the empathy phase. Just do the mom test. Just talk about their life, talk about their past, listen a lot, make more questions, get a lot of people into the conversation, and record all of that conversations, so you start to understand the problem. Okay, and use the lean canvas. On the sticky phase, what you have to do is, what is your next hypothesis? Build a problem backlog and validate your problems as fast and cheap. And I put talking to your rubber duck, but it's basically write it down. Or just give your space to push down your thinking about the problem. Okay. The next one is the virality phase, and you just have to focus on what is going to move and create traction on your business and push with all you can that traction channel or that distribution channel. And the last one is just work on the business model and define a governance structure. And you have product squads or safe framework. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value from the presentation, and feel free to ask whatever you need to ask. I'm here to give you to answer all your questions. Oops. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I hope that was useful.
Yeah, that was amazing session. So guys, you can directly speak up if you have any questions, or you can put it in the chat section.
Thank you, SM, for your comments. You're welcome. One thing I would like to point out is that if you focus on you really need to know where in which phase you are and what problems you need to solve. And if you're not like clear around that, you could screw up things very badly. So that's my. So there's a question from Vinay talking about deciding pricing, and it's a very good question. So there's a theory called price elasticity, and what you just have to do is just test prices. Okay, so that was something that we tried on career shifters, and it's basically you just push the price up so less people buy, and then you push the price down and more people buy, and suddenly you just have to move. It's a very simple math. So if you're selling at 100 and 100 people buy, that's one. Or you say 110 people buy, that's 1,000. If you push the price down to 50 and 25 buy, well, you have to make the math. But moving that elasticity of the price makes you see clearly where is the optimum price, and that's very, very helpful. And you just need to experiment. Okay, you have to run experiments. Yes, I can show this summary slide. Of course, let me share the screen. There you go. Let me put it up. Here you go. What I cannot see, I think, is the chat box. Let me see the chat box. I make it. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller because if not, the computer is going a bit strange. Maybe you want to raise your voice and just say the questions out loud while I share this. Oops. Sorry, my computer is doing funny things.
No problem. I'll read out the questions then.
Yes, go ahead.
So we were on the inputs on deciding pricing question. Then next question we have from Pratima. Can you please go back to the summary of slide one? Okay, this is already done. So then next we have question from Saurabh. How lean canvas works in empathy phase?
Yes, how does the lean canvas work? So I can go back to the lean canvas. What I hate about canvases is that it gives you the impression that you just do one and that's all the work done, and that's not true. What I was telling before is that you do like 50 conversations. So you start with an hypothesis, and let's put, I love the career shifters example. So let's say you see the problem. People are very frustrated with their career. They're just paying for a book, nothing happens, or they're paying with a coach, and that's a tremendous amount of money put there. And you're thinking about that, you have an hypothesis about a solution, okay? So you say, okay, what could I do? Could I do an online course and people go inside and see if that works? So you just create a sales page and you say, this is going to be a great course, and and you just share it with people and see if they buy. So you just have to iterate in each conversation, but focusing on the problem. What is the problem? If we follow the example of career shifters, the two big problems is, first, a ton of money. If I want to make a career shift and I don't know if that's going to happen or not, or I'm reading books and nothing is happening, right? So if you focus on the problem, then you just have to go to the other side of the equation and think about a solution and iterate solutions. And there could be 10,000 solutions, and you just have to continue doing these questions, like, how did you solve it in the past? What other examples did you use? How did you, and some people would say, okay, I got a coach and it was cheap, or I did a webinar, but you're just getting all this information and you're iterating, like many canvases have like the version, because you just have to continue iterating and finding out the truth about the problem and if the solution works. And the solution works when people actually pay for you, okay? And that's the key thing. Like if they make a commitment and pay, that's when you have a solution. I hope I answered your question.
Uh, I'll move to the next question. Next, we have question from Nizamuddin. How to identify in which phase we are and ensure we are ready for the next phase?
That's a very, very good question. So I'll go back here. So the empathy phase is where nobody's buying, like you're thinking about a business and nobody's buying, and you shift to the stickiness phase when actually you create a WordPress or you create something very simple and people start buying, and they start buying not one time but several times. And I have a friend in a competition of Airbnb. It's called Spot a Home. It's a Spanish startup. The first sale he did was so Spot a Home. Let me tell you the business model. So they rent houses, but instead of being like Airbnb that they do it for 2 or 3 weeks, they do it for 6 to 9 months. So it's people that want to move for doing a MBA in Spain, or it's a long-term move, but not so long-term that you want to sign a contract, but not so short-term that you're on an Airbnb, okay? So he started to sell, and he started to see that there was traction on Facebook, and he was in the stickiness phase. He was just selling and selling. In Career Shifters, we also had a stickiness phase. We created technology that was easy to use. But it couldn't scale, okay? And suddenly you're selling and selling and selling more, because you've created a channel where more and more people, and you just have this theory that you're putting more money on marketing, more customers come, and suddenly you need to hire more people. The technology is starting to break down. So there's where the moment that you just have to stop the machine and say, okay, things are breaking, I'm hiring people. So the scaling phase is not only about the business model and the governance, but also, is your technology ready to go from 1,000 customers to 10,000 customers? And are you going to have the infrastructure to make that happen? And it's a very tough move, because you have to shift all your business around and start working in another way. But that's the point. Just wrapping it up, empathy, you're not making a penny. And when you move to the stickiness, is that customers recurrently are coming and you have a very bootstrapped business, okay? From stickiness to virality is that you actually suddenly find an acquisition channel that's working, and you see that more people are coming and the channel is working, okay? And scale is that when things are going so fast and you're growing so fast, you're asking for money, you're hiring people, you're defining a business model, and your technology is basically breaking because you have too much on your plate to cover all the business you're making. I hope I answered the question. Did that help? Could you tell me if that helped, please?
Yes, Alok, it was helpful. Thanks a lot.
Oh, good to hear.
Okay. So next we have question from Prabhat.
Okay, go for it. What's the question? Hello? Okay, I'll see the chat. How to combine OKRs with Scrum? Is that the question?
We were on a question from Prabhat actually, how to
Okay.
validate a product which introduces something new for the users, like a programming edtech product for school kids in third world countries who are not doing it already.
So how do you, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, how to validate a product which introduces something new for users.
Could the person that made the question talk a bit through that? So I mean, so if you're just trying to create a new feature for your product, you just don't know, to be honest. You just have to have an hypothesis. Let me see. So member get member hypothesis, you know, like if I give a discount to this guy and because he said he brings your friend, you know, so you say, okay, I think this is going to work, this is a feature I want to build, and that is the hypothesis. And again, you just build the hypothesis, you create like the metric you want to push, and before building it, you just usually what I've learned is that you go with the product designer and you just create mocks or hi-fi wireframes, and you just put it in front of a customer and just you don't say anything, and the customer plays around and you can hear what they're saying, and that's how you get a feature, and you test features to see if they work or not. And I think I answered the question, but I'm not 100% sure.
Hey, Alex, this is Prabhat. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. My question wasn't very clear. So basically,
Okay.
my question is, I'm thinking of launching something like programming for kids here in India, but in government schools. So basically, there is no such curriculum available already. They are not doing any coding, right? So
Okay.
so these are my customers, but they are not doing something already, right? And I want to validate my idea when I introduce a coding course or maybe a coding, a coding product or anything which I want to introduce, right? So my question is, how do I validate that idea? That's my question.
Okay, so you don't have anything right now. So the thing that you need to do is talk with a lot of people and see what they're doing right now. So going with your question, I would go to the places where you actually want to get people to code and ask them questions like, how are you, what are you studying? Are you putting attention into coding? You know, like try to understand if your customers have that problem and how are they solving it now, right? A good question is, how are you dealing with it now? So have you talked with your
So
customers?
I'm really sorry to be interrupting you. That is the exact problem. They are not doing it already. They are not coding already. There is no such curriculum in their school, and that is what I want to introduce. That's my question. That suppose if the user is not dealing with a problem already, you want to introduce a new behavior through your product. How do you do that? How do you validate that a new behavior?
So why are they not using it now? What's
Because
your
yeah, because there is nothing of that sort. They don't use it right now. They are not doing like in India, the government schools don't have coding as part of their curriculum, right?
why do you think that's happening?
Because they are not aware enough. They are not giving that much importance to it.
So going back to what James is saying, are you sure about that? Did you talk with someone in the government that validated that? Because
Okay.
you're having an hypothesis right now.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
saying
yeah.
nobody's coding. Why are they not coding? And you're giving me an answer, but are you 100% sure that's the answer?
Yeah. I'm 100% sure. I have asked a couple of schools. I know that that's the answer. So exactly. See, my point is, let's not talk about that. I mean, I understand. See, if it will take a long discussion, but I'm just curious to know. Suppose not only this, if I get any other idea where I do not know, I know that the user does not behave like that already. That part, what I am proposing, it's not a part of the user's behavior already. So how can I, validate that hypothesis? Whether how can I validate that idea? Because you said that you shouldn't be asking questions that would you pay for it or would you use it, right? But if the user is not doing that already, right? It's not a part of his or her problem. How can we understand whether if we introduce something like that, they are going to use it? That's my question.
I get it. The point is, one question. My family comes from Argentina, and there's places in Argentina where that kind of idea would be good. But do you know if they have computers? Do you know if they have electricity in the kinds of places where you want to give this solution? Because that could be some things that even if your customers would like to use it, they would not be able to use it. And maybe the customers that would like to use the product that you're trying to do are using another kind of product that is on the market, like Khan Academy, for example. So what I would say is that understand their problems. Is not being able to code a problem for them now? Because you're sure it is, but I'm not sure it is. I'm just being like very open about that, because there's this concept of sand beach. Okay, so India is a very huge country. Which parts of India, which segments, and which customers could be aligned with the problem you're trying to solve, and they are ready to use it, and that's the thing I would focus on. Who are the customers that you could support because they're in the right place for your product? And it's a lot of questions and talking to a lot of people, to be honest. I don't know if you found this kind of niche market for your product to work.
Okay, Alex. Thanks a lot, Alex. Like you did explained it in a very detailed manner. So I'll definitely, I'll take all what you said into consideration, and I'll prepare, I'll prepare the kind of the questionnaire and ask questions.
Okay, I hope that helped.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll take this off, and okay. Do you want me to add? Maybe this is another one I could answer, and the last. This could be the last one. Okay, if that's okay with you.
Sure, sure.
Okay. How to combine OKRs with Scrum? How we set OKRs and align them with product vision and roadmap? So that's a very, very good question. Let me go here. So one of the things I really learned from, again, career shifters is objectives. OKRs are objectives and key results. So one of the challenges the founder of Career Shifters put on the plate for me was the objective is to be, the number one, giving the number one business doing career change that provides a 2 to 3 month coaching training. Okay, and he gave me a number. He gave me, let's say, I'm going to put an example. We have to sell 2,000 Launchpad courses, which is the course that he was trying to sell. So the objective is to be the number one business selling this kind of training, and the key result was 2,000. So when you get to this kind of OKRs, you cut them into, if the 1 year is like we have to sell 1,000 in 1 year, you say I have to sell 250 per quarter. And the key here is what shifts can I do in my product to start to sell more and you just run through this process over and over again. You have a business outcome, 250 courses per quarter, and you just have an hypothesis and you say, okay, what if I make a discount, a promo code for people that can bring their friends? Or what if I, have a couple do it together and they pay 50%? And you just iterate and you look for the ways that you can increase your business, making little experiments. And that's how you work, and yeah, that's the answer I would give you. And many times talking with customers gives you clues about what they actually need and what's their business, what's their mind model. Okay, I stop sharing now. Do you have another question, or is that okay, like that?
Yeah, so we have some more questions, but yeah, we can take them offline on the Slack community. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's all. Thanks a lot, Alex, for joining us today. It was really amazing session, and yeah, we would like to have you once again for more such interesting sessions.
No, you're welcome. And good luck to everybody. Product management is a really tough thing. So I, I hope you got some tips that help you become better product managers and better leaders.
Right. So for those who joined late, we'll be publishing recording of this session on our YouTube channel, so you can go and watch it there. And apart from this, we have some more interesting sessions lined up for the upcoming month, so you can go and check out our website. They are listed on our events page, and some of the sessions are going to be listed next week. So yeah, you can stay updated. Apart from this, we have our product community on Slack. You can join us over the community, and yeah, that's all from my side. So once again, thanks a lot, Alex, for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Alex. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.